Hey YouTubers, Lux here. Let's continue reading about our friends, the Anunnaki. Yes, I said it, our friends, the Anunnaki. I would be lying to you if I said that I have not gotten some hate mail about my being part of the New World Order, a Freemason, a shill for the Illuminati. I have gotten a few of these remarks. All of them fairly polite though, I will admit. I will be addressing these issues in a separate video soon. There are those who wish to discuss whether Sitchin was a Freemason and what his agenda may have been in rendering these translations such as he did. Further, I feel it would be a good idea for me to discuss what I personally believe and a bit of my personal history with you. This way we have no misunderstandings about why I am reading this. Plus, the trolls can come out to play. It's only fair, and I wish to encourage the discussion. And I do have a lively discussion to initiate, but not here. This is all about the text, guys. So let's get back to the Lost Book of Enki by Zecharia Sitchin, legendary researcher and incredible dude. Now, this is the account of how Bod Tabira, the metal city, was established, and how in the 40th Shar, the Anunnaki in the Abzu mutinied. In the 25th Shar was Anzu judged and executed. The unrest of the Igigi it subdued, but left it simmering. To Lamu, Marduk was sent, the spirits of the Igigi to raise. To their well-being, pay attention. On Earth, changes were by Enlil and Enki discussed to avoid unrest on Earth they were considering. The stays on Earth are too prolonged to each other, they were saying. Ninmah for counsel they asked. By her changing visage, they were alarmed. Gold to Nibiru must more quickly flow. Salvation must be faster provided, they all agreed. Ninurta, in the innards of the planets, learned was, to his elders, words of wisdom he was saying. Let a metal city be established therein, the gold ores to be smelted and refined. Therefrom less weighty cargoes from earth shall be lofted. Each rocket ship more gold could carry. Room for Anunnaki to Nibiru return there shall be. Let the tired to Nibiru return. Let fresh ones them on earth replace. Enlil and Enki and Ninmah of Ninurta's suggestion were in favor. Anu was consulted and his approval gave. In the Eden was the metal city planned. On that location, Enlil did insist. With materials from Nibiru was it constructed. With tools from Nibiru was it equipped. 3 shars the construction lasted. Bod Tabira was it the name given. Ninurta, who made the suggestion, was its first commander. The flow of gold to Nibiru was thereby eased and quickened. Those who to Earth and Lamu at the beginning of the prior times had come, to Nibiru were returning. Aligar and Abgal and Nungal were among them. The newcomers who them replaced were younger and eager. To the cycles of Earth and Lamu and the other rigors they were not yet accustomed. On Nibiru, whence they had come, the breach in the atmosphere was healing. The great calamities on the planet and in its heavens the younger ones did not know. Of their golden mission, excitement, and adventure they especially cherished. And by Ninurta conceived, the ores from the Abzu were delivered. In Bod Tabira they were smelted and refined. By rocket ships to Lamu they were sent. In celestial chariots from Lamu to Nibiru was the pure gold delivered. As by Ninurta conceived, from the Abzu to Nibiru the gold flowed. Go Ninurta. What was not conceived was unrest by the new coming Anunnaki who in the Abzu toiled. Truth be said, Enki to what was brewing, heed was not giving. To other matters in the Abzu his attention was directing. So the new guys aren't real happy either, but Enki is not paying attention. With that which in the Abzu grows and lives fascination he required. Of the differences between what on earth and what on Nibiru appeared he wished to learn. How maladies by Earth's cycles and atmosphere were caused, he wished to uncover. In the Abzu, by the gushing waters, a wondrous study place he erected. With all manner of tools and equipment he furnished it. House of Life he called the place. To it his son, Ningazida, he invited. Sacred formulas, tiny MEs, the secrets of life and death possessing they shaped. Anyone thinking MEs could be some sort of DNA kind of thing? The mysteries of living and dying of Earth's creatures they to unravel sought. With some living creatures, Enki was especially enamored. They lived among the tall trees, their front legs as hands they were using. In the tall grasses of the steppes, odd creatures were seen. Erect they seemed to be walking. Absorbed was Enki in those studies. What was among the Anunnaki brewing, he noticed not. First to notice trouble was Ninurta. A lessening of gold ores at Bod Tibir, he observed. By Enlil was Ninurta to the Abzu dispatched. What was ongoing to discover? By Inugi, the chief officer, to the excavations he was accompanied. Complaints of the Anunnaki he with his own ears heard. They were backbiting and lamenting. In the excavations they were grumbling. Unbearable is the toil, to Ninurta they were saying. Ninurta this to his uncle Enki reported. Let us Enlil summon, Enki said. Enlil in the Abzu arrived. In a house near the excavations he was stationed. Let us unnerve Enlil in his dwelling. Mine-working heroes shouted. Of the heavy work, let him relieve us. Uh-oh. In other words, Enlil, get your ass out here and do some mining, pal. Let us proclaim war. With hostilities, let us gain relief, others shouted. The Anunnaki in the excavations the words of incitement heeded. To their tools they set fire. Fire to their axes they put. They troubled Inugi, chief officer of the mining. In the tunnels they him seized. They held him as they went. To the doorway of Enlil's dwelling they made their way. It was night. Halfway through the watch it was. Enlil's dwelling they surrounded. Their tools as torches they held high. Kalkal, the gateway's guardian, bolted the door, and Nusku aroused. Nusku, Enlil's vizier, roused his lord, got him out of bed, thus saying, My lord, your house is surrounded. Battling Anunnaki to your gate came up. Enlil summoned Enki. Enlil Ninurta summoned to his presence. What do my own eyes see? Is it against me that this thing is done? Thus was Enlil to them saying. Who is of the hostilities the instigator? The Anunnaki stood together. Every single one of us hostilities has declared. Excessive is the toil. Our work is heavy. Great is the distress. So they were to Enlil saying. Words of the happenings Enlil to Anu beamed. Of what is Enlil accused? Anu inquired. It's really quite amazing how they can communicate with Nibiru just like that. Kind of interesting. The work, not Enlil, is the trouble causing, Enki to Anu was saying. The lamentation is heavy. Every day the complaints we could hear. The gold must be obtained, Anu was saying. The work must continue. Release Inugi for the consultations, Enlil to the hostile Anunnaki said. Inugi was released. To the leaders he was thus saying, Ever since Earth's heat has been rising, the toil is excruciating. Unbearable it is. Let the rebels to Nibiru return. Let new ones come in their stead, Ninurta said. Perchance new tools you can fashion, Enlil to Enki said, for the Anunnaki heroes the tunnels to avoid. Let us summon my son Ninjgazida. Counsel with him I wish to take. Enki thus responded. They summoned Ninjgazida from the house of life. He came. With him Enki huddled. Words amongst them they exchanged. A solution is possible, Enki was saying. Let us create a Lulu, a primitive worker, the hardship work to take over. Let the being the toil of the Anunnaki carry on his back. Astounded were the besieged leaders. Speechless indeed they were. Who ever heard of a being afresh created, a worker who the Anunnaki's work can do? They summoned Ninma, one who of healing and succor was much knowing. Enki's words to her they repeated. Who ever of such a thing heard, they asked her. The task is unheard of, she to Enki said. All beings from a seed have descended. One being from another over eons did develop. None from nothing ever came. How right you are, my sister, Enki said, smiling. A secret of the Abzu let me to you all reveal. The being that we need, it already exists. All that we have to do is put on it the mark of our essence. Thereby a Lulu, a primitive worker, shall be created. So did Enki to them say. Let us hereby a decision make, a blessing to my plan give, to create a primitive worker by the mark of our essence to fashion him. I do want to point out briefly here that you probably noticed this. Never mind that we have the Sumerians telling such a tale some 5,000 plus years ago, a tale of rocket ships, terror weapons, and incredible technologies such as we do not possess today, at least not in the public sector. Never mind that. But do note that according to the Anunnaki, evolution over eons was considered the norm when it came to new beings just coming into existence. A being could be created from seeds and essences, as we shall soon be hearing. But never before had a totally new being been manufactured. There are many who say, incorrectly, that the Anunnaki basically went around making slaves all over the place, and that we are just another one of their evil science projects. This is so not the case, not at all. As we will soon read, the story is far more complex than this. But do note that it was previously not standard operating procedure to create new beings. That said, let us continue. This is the beginning of the 6th tablet. There is a brief synopsis at the beginning of each tablet. I have not been reading them. I will read them now. This is the synopsis of what we are about to read. To the incredulous leadership, Enki reveals a secret. In the Abzu there roams a wild being akin to the Anunnaki. By augmenting its life essence with that of the Anunnaki, it can be upgraded to be an intelligent primitive worker. Creation belongs to the Father of all beginning, Enlil shouted. We will give our image only to an existing being, Ninma argued. Badly needing gold to survive, the leaders vote yes. Enki, Ninma, and Ninjgazeta, Enki's son, begins experiments. After many failures, the perfect model Adamu is attained. Ninma shouts triumphantly, My hands have made it. She is renamed Ninti, Lady of Life, for her achievement. Ninki, Enki's spouse, helps fashion T. Amat, a female earthling. The earthlings, being hybrids, mate, but do not procreate. Ninjgazeta adds 2 essence branches to their life tree. Discovering the unapproved ongoings, Enlil expels the earthlings. And so tablet 6 begins. To create a primitive worker, by the mark of our essence to fashion him. So was Enki to the leaders, saying, The being that we need, it already exists. Thus did Enki to them a secret of the Abzu reveal. With astonishment did the other leaders Enki's words hear. By the words they were fascinated. Creatures in the Abzu there are, Enki was saying, that walk erect on 2 legs. Their 4 legs they use as arms. With hands they are provided. Among the animals of the steppe they live. They know not dressing in garments. They eat plants with their mouths. They drink water from lake and ditch. Shaggy, with hair, is their whole body. Their head hair is like a lion's. With gazelles they jostle. With teeming creatures in the waters they delight. The leaders to Enki's words with amazement listened. No creature like that has ever in the Eden been seen, Enlil disbelieving said. Eons ago on Nibiru, our predecessors like that might have been, Ninmah was saying. It is a being, not a creature. Ninmah was saying, to behold it must be a thrill. To the house of life, Enki led them. In strong cages there were some of the beings. At the sight of Enki and the others, they jumped up. With fists on the cage bars, they were beating. They were grunting and snorting. No words were they speaking. Male and female they are, Enki was saying. Malehoods and femalehoods they have, like us, from Nibiru coming. They are procreating. Ninskazita, my son, their fashioning essence has tested. Akin to ours it is. Like two serpents it is entwined. When their life with our life essence shall be combined, our mark upon them shall be. A primitive worker shall be created. Our commands will he understand. Our tools he will handle. The toil in the excavations he shall perform. To the Anunnaki and the Abzu relief shall come. So was Enki with enthusiasm saying, with excitement his words came forth. Enlil at the words was hesitating. The matter is one of great importance. On our planet, slavery has long ago been abolished. Tools are the slaves, not other beings. A new creature beforehand, non-existing, you wish to bring into being. Creation in the hands of the Father of all beginning alone is held. So was Enlil in opposing saying. Stern were his words. Enki to his brother responded, not slaves, but helpers is my plan. The being already exists, Ninmah was saying. To give more ability is the plan. Not a new creature, but one existing more in our image made, Enki with persuasion said. With a little change, it can be achieved. Only a drop of our essence is needed. A grave matter it is. It is not to my liking, Enlil was saying. Against the rules from planet to planet journeying it is. By the rules of to earth coming it was forbidden. To obtain gold was our purpose. To replace the Father of all beginning it was not. After Enlil thus had spoken, Ninmah was the one to respond. My brother, Ninmah to Enlil was saying, with wisdom and understanding has the Father of all beginning us endowed. To what purpose have we so been perfected, else of it utmost use to make? In other words, the Father of all beginning gave us the brains to figure out how to manipulate the genetic code to make a primitive worker, so hey, why not? As long as it's similar to us. With wisdom and understanding has the Creator of all our life essence filled. To whatever using of it we capable are, is it not that for which we have been destined? So was Ninmah's words to her brother Enlil directing. With that which in our essence was granted, tools and chariots we have perfected. Mountains with terror weapons we shattered. Skies with gold we are healing. So is Ninurta to his birth-giving mother, saying, let us with wisdom new tools fashion, not new beings to create. Let by new equipments, not by slave beings, the toil be revealed. Whereto our understanding does us lead, to that we have been destined. So is Ninskazita saying, with Enki and Ninmah he in agreement was, with knowledge we possess. Its use cannot be prevented, Ninskazita was saying. Destiny indeed cannot be altered. From the beginning to the end it has been determined. To them Enlil was thus saying, destiny it is, or fate it is, that to this planet us has brought to gold from the water's foil, to put Anunnaki heroes to excavating toil, to a primitive worker create to be planning, that, my kinfolk, is the question. Thus with graveness, Enlil was saying, is it destiny? Is it fate? That is what deciding requires. Is it from the beginning ordained, or by us for choosing? To put the matter before Anu they decided. Anu, before the council the matter was presented. The elders, the savants, the commanders were consulted. Long and bitter the discussions were. Of life and death, fate and destiny words were spoken. Can there be another way the gold to obtain? Survival is in danger. If gold must be obtained, let the being be fashioned, the council decided. Let Anu forsake the rules of planetary journeys. Let Nibiru be saved. From Anu's palace the decision to earth was beamed. It Enki delighted. Let Ninma my helper be. Of such matters understanding she has. Thus was Enki saying. At Ninma with a longing he was gazing. Let it be so, Ninma was saying. Let it be so, Enlil did say. By Anugi was the decision to be to the Anunnaki in the Abzu announced. So Anugi is going to announce to the Anunnaki that a new being is about to be fashioned. Until the being is achieved, to the toil willingly you must return, he said. There was disappointment, rebellion there was not. To the toil the Anunnaki returned. In the house of life, in the Abzu, how to fashion the being, Enki to Ninma was explaining. To a place among the trees Ninma he directed. A place of cages it was. In the cages there were odd creatures, their likes in the wild no one had seen. 4 parts of one kind they had, hind parts of another creature they possessed. Creatures of 2 kinds by their essences combined to Ninma Enki was showing. To the house of life they returned. To a clean place with brightness shining they led her. In the clean place Ninzgazita to Ninma the life essence secrets was explaining. How the essence from 2 kinds combined can be, he to her was showing. The creatures in the tree cages are too odd, monstrous they are, Ninma was saying. Indeed so, Enki responded. To attain perfection, for that you are needed. How the essences to combine, how much of this, how much of that to put together? In which womb conception to begin? In which womb should the birth be given? For that your succor and healing understanding are needed. The understanding of one who gave birth, who a mother is required. A smile on the face of Ninma was. The 2 daughters that by Enki she mothered, she well remembered. With Ninzgazita she surveyed the sacred formulas that on the MEs were secreted. How this and that were done of him she required. The creatures in the tree cages she examined. The 2-legged creatures she contemplated. By a male inseminating a female are the essences transmitted. The 2 entwined strands separate and combine on offspring to fashion. Let a male Anunnaki a 2-legged female impregnate. Let a combination offspring be born. Thus did Ninma say. That we have tried. With failures it resulted, to her Enki responded. There was no conceiving. There was no birth. This concludes this section of our reading of Zecharia Sitchin's The Lost Book of Enki. The Anunnaki have now undertaken to create a primitive worker and a mate for that worker. The decision to do such a thing was not entered into quickly or without debate. In the end, it was decided that the Anunnaki, by virtue of their intellect and ability, had fate in their hands. They needed gold for the survival of their planet and their people. Their people, not being suited to the climate down here, were unable to provide the labor. The Anunnaki knew that they had the power to create new life, something never before accomplished. If you think this is evil, then you should look into what our scientists are up to. And if that's not enough, imagine what they're doing that we never hear about. There is much talk of the evil done by the Anunnaki in creating us, with slavery as our lot in life. But before you get all wacky with that concept, do consider what we do in the name of science for a lot less than survival. And if you are not actively fighting such things, then be careful what or who you call evil. But I digress. The Anunnaki discover that there are problems with such a creation. The essences are not an exact match, and they set about to create the being. Please stay tuned for the next installment to see what happens next.